So I took vacation and rented this place, and I'll be writing and working on my stories. Reality is that I spent 10 days on this hybrid, super emotional, sensitive, personal story. And yes, so yesterday I said it's painful, and then it became even more painful. So yeah, I don't know, it's not like I figured out everything. I'm still very confused emotionally, and I think I will need some time to realize really what happened. And
So, how are you doing now?
I'm doing actually fine now, and I'm not confused anymore, and I think emotionally I got over it. And the downside is that now this story lost its magic. And I think the best analogy I can think of is a Santa Claus. So imagine you kind of know that the presents you get every year, it's from your parents, but you still like to entertain this idea that it's from Santa Claus. And you have this image of Santa Claus and all the magic that surrounds this entity. And on top of that, you kind of like to entertain this idea that how you interact with Santa Claus. For example, you bake cookies for him, and sometimes he might get stuck in chimney and you help him out and stuff like that. Now you do the same stuff in your real life towards your family. For example, you bake cookies and you have a little sister, and for example, she tries it and says, yeah, it's really good, but you should have added some flavor. So then you start kind of thinking about Santa Claus and imagining that, so he tries your cookies and he just loses his mind. It's like a best reaction ever. Or for example, you imagine that when you help him, he's like very grateful and just loves you so much. And meanwhile, if you help your mom to wash dishes, for example, she will say, oh, okay, thank you very much, but you have not really cleaned this plate. There is still some dirt. So I mean, reality is not as perfect as you imagine this Santa Claus stuff. And sometimes you actually, so your time is limited, right? And sometimes you neglect reality. So you say, well, I could bake another batch of cookies, but instead, what if I just lay down on my couch and just for 5 minutes I will imagine that I did it for Santa Claus and he had his like amazing reaction, and I just get these emotions and I saved my time. And then imagine it's like in a home alone, so you're a kid from home alone and your family went for vacation and you're left alone. And so you decide, well, all these fantasies about Santa Claus, it's pretty cool, so let's write it down, let's make it into story. But the thing is, you don't have backup from reality this time, because what happens when your family is around, you kind of have this backup because your family still loves you and you still love them, and reality is not perfect, of course, but it's still good. It's not like your sister threw away your cookies, right? She actually appreciated it. She just gave some feedback and you were maybe not very happy about that, but it's not like they are mean to you or anything like that. So that's why your imaginary Santa Claus was just something to relax. Sometimes if you go to bed and instead of thinking some stressful moments from the day, you could think some brand new fantasy about Santa Claus and you just fall asleep just with a smile on your face, instead of like being stressful and then when you can't fall asleep, sometimes you just And anyway, so you start writing this Santa Claus story and without any reality, and you get really invested into it. And it's like 8 days have passed and you are very focused on Santa Claus now. It never ever happened before. And of course, you get confused because now it's suddenly so important. And yeah, so that's what happens when you get emotionally confused with it. And then your family returns and you actually realize that you need to put more effort now in reality to kind of get it back. Because still when your family is around, it's still painful for you. So you take time and you invest in reality, and it actually helps. It works out. So now you are finally in a good shape. I don't know how to say that. But now about the part when it loses the magic is that one day you wake up and you decide to stay in bed for a bit, like for 5 minutes longer. And you just do this mental thing to yourself that, hey, actually Santa Claus is not real. And you kind of lost this in the process. And you were so invested that you were thinking that he is real, that he was never real. It was all you. All the personality, all the magic, you gave it to this entity. It was all you. He was never real. And although you still enjoy the presents and all the stuff, like nothing really changed, but the magic is lost. It's gone. And this is where I am right now. And the story itself, I feel like the magic is lost right now. But I would like to get it back. Because, yeah, the story needs magic. So I think after some time I can regain it. But right now it's just gone. And yeah, so I continue working on the story. It's been a month already, actually over a month. I already work on this story, and yeah.